Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about music theory. And what we're going to be talking about is a question that someone left in the comments in the last music theory video I made, which is called the emotional note for EDM. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about chords. That's what the question was relating to. And hopefully this video helps you guys out. Now this video, I'm not going to call it advanced. It might be beginner to intermediate level. However, if you're advanced and don't know about these methods, then okay, that's cool. You'll learn too. So these methods that I'm going to teach you guys, just, like a disclaimer and shit, they're methods that I've noticed myself while I've been playing the piano. As you guys can see, I have a piano here, and I like to play it a lot. A lot of times if I want to make a song for myself just for practice or because I feel like making a song, I go on the piano and write the song out first, and then I come onto the, into the Ableton and pretty much just arrange it out. So writing a song happens there. So I've come up with a lot of ways for myself to know what chords go well with what chords, and these are things you pick up. So these are my methods, and I'm also going to be talking about methods that I've read about and learned about in school, because I did take a couple of music classes for my general education that you're allowed to take. So I did do that, and I learned a couple of things. Okay, so the first thing is that if you guys know what a chord is pretty much a set of notes that you can play together, or that's what I call them, and they're gonna sound really in sync with each other. So if I were to play this is the G minor chord. It sounds like this. Okay, I can also add the F, and I can keep going up if I wanted to, like maybe the F note, but here, I can keep going. However, those three notes are pretty much the basis of the chord. And then you have sustain 4, sustain 5, all that. That's a little bit more advanced stuff, but it's not advanced in the sense that, you do crazy shit. It's advanced in the sense that, you need to know, advanced, like sustain 7 would be me adding this F here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 7th note in the scale, so that's why it's called sustain 7. Okay, so now here we have the basis of the chords, okay, and they sound really good together. However, if I was to go, let's say, like play the C and then a D or some shit, it doesn't sound as good and as pretty much as harmonic as if the G, A sharp, and the D were playing. So one way that I know they're harmonic is because I have this rule in my head, and I've taught this in previous videos before, is that you can count up by 3 notes, and you're going to count the note you're on, and that's going to tell you if it's harmonic or not. And it's something I've noticed, okay? So it works a lot when you make a chord. You don't know how to make chords, you can do that, and it helps a lot. Okay, now what chord can I go to from the G minor chord? There's a couple possibilities, but the ones that are going to sound the best are going to be chords or notes. If I were to take these off, and I'm going to call this a chord just for making it more simple, anything to the third of this is going to work. Okay, so what I mean by this is, like, if I go up 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, I can go up to the A sharp, and I know the chord's going to work. I can go down to the D sharp, and I know the chord's going to work. I can even go down to an F, it might work, okay? And then if I go down here to the A sharp, it's gonna work, because again, those are the thirds of G and they're harmonic. So let's try it out real fast. So we have a G, and then okay, so let's say that's our chord progression, and the way I did it, guys, is the G is the harmonic to the D sharp, the D sharp is harmonic to the A sharp, and the A sharp is harmonic to the D. So I'm counting by 3 notes, if you guys remember, so that works really well. So now if I were to make these into chords, which we're gonna do real fast here, again, I'm counting by 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the set here. So 1, 2, 3, D, and then an F, and go. And then again here, 1, 3, so if you heard, it fucking worked. I didn't even play it. I didn't even play it. I didn't even have to, fuck around choosing the notes. I already knew that it would work, and that's because they're harmonic to each other. Now, see, if I were to just say, okay, I'm gonna make chords and shit, I'm gonna fuck around and just do random, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go G, and then maybe, let's see, C, G, C, A sharp, and then maybe, G again. Here, I'm gonna go to, this is supposed to be. If you can see, it doesn't sound as good as the other one. However, I have a keen ear for this shit, and I heard this chord here that I made, progression, has some potential if I were to change a couple of round. But as you guys can see, when you choose something that's harmonic to just the bottom note here, because that's what's more important, keeping it simple, because then you can do the rule of 3 as I've stated to make your chords and shit. It does help a lot because, again, they're harmonic to each other, so they're gonna work with each other. Now there are exceptions to this rule, because some of you guys might be going like, well, I could have gone to the F from the G and it still would have sounded good, and then D sharp, and yeah. So yeah, there are ways. This is just a rule that I have that I know will always work. And you know, the problem with the rules though, guys, and this is what I'm gonna say, is if you guys are making your chords this way, yeah, they sound good, but they're really fucking predictable. And what I mean by this is that if you guys have heard any of Avicii's songs, his melodies are really predictable. And to be honest, it's because a lot of people do melodies like this. Okay, and this is another part of theory that I'm gonna talk about, I guess, in this video. Fuck it, it's not a chord related one, or it might be, but there's a thing in music theory that we have that's called being stable and being unstable in certain parts. Your melody can be stable or unstable, and what that means is that your melody is not going to be a bunch of fucking notes, you know, going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then A, B, C, D. Your melody revolves around a certain theme, which could be a certain note, like in the emotional note, the 5th note. But you know, let's say I have this melody, the 5th note, it revolves around it, and we'll just have this, you know, dun 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 da 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 da, some shit like that. Okay, so here, so here is the melody. Okay, now let's talk about this. The reason I say that using this method that I showed you guys is very predictable is because it's like doing this. You make a melody, or you make a chord, you know, in this melody, we're just gonna leave it at 0 because it's a horrible example. It's not doing what I, you know, we do this chord pattern, and we're just gonna go down the fucking scale. That's what we're gonna do here. Sorry for my language. 1, 2, 3, yes, right. So we're gonna go down the scale. Man, this video is gonna be long. I can already sense it, but until we go down the scale, okay? So a lot of people, I've taught this way as well, but a lot of people do these type of melodies where they go, okay, so I'm playing in the scale of G, so we're gonna have a G note here, and then we're gonna do this. So if you can see, I'm just playing the G here because I'm in the G scale, in the G chord. But then when I go to the F chord, I change the melody down to an F and whatnot. You know, this is just doing it this way and shit. Okay, so if you guys can see here, the melody goes down with the chords. Now, what this is considered here is when you have a melody revolving around a note that is part of this chord, whoops, that means that the melody at that point is stable because it's in the same chord. However, you know, this whole melody is stable, so it's very predictable because whenever the chords change, you're like, okay, the melody's gonna change with the chord. So you know the chord progression, you can say it's very predictable. Now the cool thing about, you know, this is that, yeah, you can make really good melodies. However, they're really predictable, and a lot of the best melodies that have been made with unstable. So again, remember, unstable is going to be if the melody revolves around a note that isn't part of the scale. So here in this instance, we have this melody. So this melody is stable here because we have the D. It's stable, it's gonna be stable here because we have the D here as well. And the other ones, it's not gonna be stable because the chords are not playing there. Right here, the melody's not stable, and it's not stable here, and it's stable here. So if you guys know, then that's the only problem that I have with my way of making chords there, is that the chords will be really predictable. So that's the first method, guys, and you know, I'm already like what, 10 minutes in, and so yeah, theory is fun. The next thing, guys, is another rule, and this rule is pretty much gonna pertain to the last chord you're gonna have. Now the last chord will be considered a cadence chord. You can also say that some chords are cadence chords, but pretty much what a cadence chord is the chord before, you know, you repeat the loop. So then pretty much what I'm saying is, let's say I have these chords here, and again we're gonna be doing the F just going down the scale. Okay, now cadence chord this is gonna be the cadence chord, and what the cadence chord does, it pretty much sets up the loop again, and it needs to sound good because it needs to transition into this really well. So the cadence chord is gonna always be something that can transition into the G. The most popular cadence chord that's out there is gonna be the fifth, because if you notice that the fifth has the G in it, but also the other popular one is the D, the sixth as well. And the reason for that is because if you notice, the sixth chord's gonna have the first note in your scale here. So if this is the one, which is the G, because it's part of the G is the first note in the G minor scale. This is a 1. We're gonna make another chord. So this chord needs to set it up to go to this one. So the cadence chord is gonna be pretty much a chord that's gonna set it up. If I were to pick, let's see what's a bad fucking note to pick. A C maybe. You know, it doesn't really help transition it into the first chord that we had, if you guys notice. So usually the first chord is going to be the root note of your scale. It can be the fifth as well, or the sixth. But if you guys notice, this one doesn't really transition that well into this one. So the cadence chord, again, is going to be that chord, and the most popular one to do is always going to be the fifth, the sixth. The F is always a good choice as well. So those are going to be cadence chords. So that's how you know you need to have a chord there that's going to really set it up. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is about chords, guys. A lot of it is actually experimentation. So hopefully this video helps you guys out in a way. So just to recap, guys, is that your chords, if you want to know what chords are going to go well with whatever you have, pretty much if it's harmonic to each other, then the chord is going to work. So pretty much what I mean by that is, if we have a G here, and again, if you want to find a chord that works, we know that the D sharp is going to work for sure, because the D sharp's third note from it, 1, 2, 3 is the G, so they're going to be harmonic to each other, and the change is going to be really cool. It's going to be really fluent because, again, they're harmonic to each other. From the D sharp, I can then go maybe to the C, because, again, the C's third note, 1, 2, 3. So it's all revolves around harmonics, as I've explained. But I also explained the downside of this is that chords can get really predictable, just like melodies can when they're following the chord pattern, and that's being called stable. When melodies are playing a note that's part of the chord, that's considered stable. Unstable is when the melodies are playing revolving, you know, it's playing notes that aren't part of a chord. So remember those. And then the last thing we talked about was cadence chords. It was the last part of the video, very fast. It's going to be the chord that pretty much brings it around, so you know, you repeat your chord progression again, and usually that note's going to be the fifth or the sixth. Those are the most popular ones to use, and that's going to be it, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it teaches you guys something. Try it out, and hopefully you guys make some great music with this. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.